Hi, my name is Alex Salazar. I'm here in Ferguson. I'm getting ready to interview Marcellus. How you doing there, Marcellus?
I'm doing all right.
Great. And Marcellus, you're known as the Ferguson poet. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And where does that stem from?
Basically, when Michael Brown had passed, I was playing basketball, and the looting had began, and everybody was talking about it at the park, and I was like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna recite my poetry, and everybody just laughed at me,
Oh wow.
and
Why'd you
so
laugh at you?
just saying I was goofy or I was a lame or whatever the case may be. I actually laughed myself a little chuckle.
But here were bad things getting ready to happen, right?
Right.
And you decided to take the peaceful route.
Correct.
All right.
So I decided to come out and ride my bike 5 miles to Canfield and recite my poetry. And quickly, the people, wouldn't let me go unknown. They grabbed me and showed me in front of the cameras, and quickly I began to be known around the world. Um, I say about 20 days in, people would come up from New Orleans, and I'd be out there reciting my poetry, and they'd be just, "Oh my God, it's you! I can't believe it. My wife wants me to take some pictures of you." And, it was just an awesome feeling to have that from people. Open up their hearts to me that you don't even know. So
Wow. Wow. And so for you to obviously get to be known, your words I'm sure must have impacted quite a few.
right, yeah.
Right. And which one was the poem I guess that I guess captures the hearts of most people relating
Um,
to all this madness.
Pretty much all of them, to be honest with you. Like, I only put like 3 or 4 or 5 of them out to begin with, but I have like 13 or 14 poems from the Ferguson incident, and so just going out reciting all of them. Everybody wants every last one of them if they can get them.
All right. And what we're going to do here, we're going to listen to some of your poetry here in just a few minutes. But I want to ask you because you're a resident, right?
No, I live 5 miles from here. I mean, I've been living here for 8 years, so I've been around the way. Right down the street. Back and forth around St. Louis, but I never lived actually in Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay. And what caused you to become a poet? Where does that come from?
Actually, it's a long history of art in my family. I don't just do poetry. I mean, I draw, I flip, I dance, I do other things. But poetry, you know, when I went to the military, I started writing again.
What branch?
National Guard,
Okay.
and just writing back home, I started writing poetry again. And all my friends, my battle buddies, was like, "Man, can you write for me?" And then I was like, I noticed I can make money off of it. And,
Okay.
and then I was like, I was gonna propose to my girl when I got home, and so I wrote a poem to her called "Let Me Propose to You."
Mm.
And so everybody was like, "You need to recite, you need to remember it." And so in 3 days, I remembered the poem, and I proposed to her with it at Dave and Buster's in front of everybody, and I recited the poem to her. So that's when I knew I could recite poetry.
Wow.
So I mean, I've been writing since I was 8, but actually, being where I'm from in Chicago, you don't let poetry hang out too well. You know, you ain't got time for it.
Right. And so you seem to put yourself into the poetic uh, mindset when things are happening. When I guess a lot of people have stress, they'll do drugs or whatever. But you concentrate on your poetry. It seems for peace.
I mean, I've been doing this poetry thing for a while now. Ever since I found out I didn't want to work for nobody else. So I just started writing poetry, and I quickly, from the little job that I did, the under table job, I was making $40 a day. I started making $150 a day just doing my poetry, getting the
Mm-hmm.
background for Black History, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and so I've been doing this for a while. It's not just a new thing because of
Okay.
Michael. So I mean, I just like uplifting people's souls.
All right. All
That's
right.
just what I do.
All right. Um, how do you connect with the poetry? I mean, what makes you write that to get into, like I said, these intense feelings of what you see in life and what's happening?
I mean, I'm only 22 years old, and I've been through more than a lot of adults. A lot of people be like, "Well, you too young to have nerves or to go through something or go through some things." And really, like, I've been through a lot. Stayed in shelters. We lived in cars, ate out of garbage cans. Lord knows, like, we've been through a lot.
Okay.
And abusive relationships, like, all that stuff ties into a kid, not being able to express themselves or to their mom because she's tied up in a relationship, but being able to write it down and be able to connect with somebody else that's going through other things but feel like the same intense emotion through my poetry. Just to relate through that, even if they don't agree with everything I'm saying, they can feel my pain.
Okay, and that's key there. You just said something about feeling your pain. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that you were eating out of garbage cans, living on the streets. I mean, this pain here, would you say is common among Black America?
I mean, I think it's common amongst all people that live in poverty.
All right.
If you don't, if you have that intense feeling when you see the police officer, this is for you. If you walk every day and you see a police officer and you think the slightest that you can't be locked up, this isn't for you because you don't understand where I'm coming from. It's not about blacks, this power issue. It's not about color. It's about having power and the authority over somebody's life.
All right. And so that's where racism, then I guess, it doesn't differentiate. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
All right. Explain that, because a lot of people think, including myself, that this is a racial issue because there are people that don't like blacks.
I mean, of course there's people that don't like blacks.
I mean, we're in the middle of KKK country here, isn't that true?
And I mean, you're right. I mean, there's blacks that don't like whites. There's blacks that don't like blacks.
Oh, wow.
There's white that don't like white.
That's powerful.
I seen my guy Wu. He looks. If you would see him from far distance, you would think he was a black guy. And we were walking downtown, and a older whiter lady seen him, and she just started shaking her head, just in disgust of him. That's her own color, but because he looks like me and dresses like me, she has some type of racial gesture towards him, and it's not right.
Okay.
We've been brainwashed, by this government system, even lying to their own people to get what they want,
Wow.
So,
explain to me a little bit about lying to their own people.
I mean, through news and media, just like with the protesters, all of them are violent. It's the protesters that are looting. I guarantee you it wasn't no protesters looting. It was probably some looters looting because that's what they do. But the looters aren't protesting. If they are, they're disguised or hiding back, but we fishing them out and weaving them out. It's just through media and other ways, that they lie to their own kind just to get what they want, money.
Okay.
That's what it's about, capitalism.
Right. And, you hear people out there that they like the finer things in life. They want to have their nice big homes or big cars, money, trips, partying. But yet there's a segment of society in this country and also throughout the world, as we know, that, as you mentioned, they're eating out of garbage cans. And while the world goes on with their yachts and partying in Vegas and elsewhere, people are starving to death. And no one cares. It seems like no one cares until you have a situation where, like what happened here, it hits home, exactly. But now this is bigger. I mean, what's the difference here versus, like, for example, L.A., Los Angeles? California has always had a very long history too with police brutality.
I mean, the thing is, there is no difference. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's Chicago, New York, from Florida to California, Italy, France, Hong Kong. I mean, Mexico, Brazil. It's everywhere. This started a long time ago. It ain't just started now. So all the rioting and looting that everybody's going crazy about, it isn't nothing new. These things are nothing new. This is just our movement and our time, and you're just now experiencing this. So, I mean, older people, they like, well, I was there when they did this and that, yada, yada. And they understand. A lot of people, they just, I don't get it. Why? Why tear this up? Why tear that? For 470 years, you had your foot on our neck, and now we finally get to get up. What you think we're going to do? I mean, that's just what it is.
Right, and you have a lot of people thinking like that. I mean, millions upon millions of Caucasians who don't want to recognize that this brutality still continues long after the Civil War, long after the Civil Rights battle 50 years ago. I mean, here we are, 2014, and we're still dealing with this, and the country is under a paralysis state of mind. They don't know what to do. Everyone's trying to come up with answers on CNN, bringing in all the experts and everything, but I mean, there's no solution here.
I mean, you can't come up with a solution to something that you really you blanked out. You know, you forgot about. Harry Belafonte told us when we met with him. He said we thought we won when we did what we did. We blinked and turned our head. Now you guys have to turn back around and open your eyes.
Explain that a little bit more. What do you
I
mean
mean,
by he thought he won back in the 60s? Is that
yeah,
what
he
you're
said
saying?
that they thought they won. You know, they got what they wanted. You know, the
Okay.
schools were not segregated. You know,
All right.
they had everything they wanted. But now, you know, to go through what we're going through, they're like, well, this is kind of different now. This is a little bit different, and we need you guys to really focus. And you know, we actually love their help. You know, a lot of people like, well, the youth don't want no old elders helping. And the problem is because in their hoods and where they're from, you're dealing with the streets. You're not dealing with the suburbs. I mean, even though we're in the suburbs, these are people that are from the city that are from different cities all over. It's not just people from St. Louis here in Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know we gotta push and make this stuff work. We gotta be heard.
Right. Right. Wow. That's powerful to take all this in. What you're saying. I really want to have you talk to the people from, the Caucasian white American race, Anglo-Saxon. I was castigated today by a friend of mine. I thought she was a friend of mine who, I don't know, got kind of upset here because she doesn't seem to get it. What you guys have gone through. All right, there's a denial there by the white race. Okay.
I mean, they can't feel for something they don't see.
All right, there you go.
If they're not here, like I told.
That's what I told her. You live in your white suburbia.
Right.
These guys are living in the ghettos. How can you understand or empathize with their situation
unless you see it? And I tell a lot of people,
or live it, right?
I don't blame Darren Wilson. I blame his parents' parents, and his parents' parents, and his parents' parents, because this is a system that we are brought up in and we live in.
So you don't blame Darren Wilson. That's powerful.
I mean, of course I blame him for his actions, but in the same sense is the way he was taught and mentored. I blame the police academy. I blame them. Just like I told somebody the other day, when I took my son out for trick or treating, he said, "Look, Daddy, they're the police," and I was like, what about him? I just wanted to hear what he was gonna say. He said, "That's the white man, Daddy. He gonna shoot us down," and he brought me to tears.
How old is your boy?
My son is 3 years old.
And he told you that?
Yeah. And so it hurt me to know, because I know what I'm doing in this Ferguson movement. I don't bring it home. I might recite some poetry to him before you go to sleep, but it's not Ferguson poetry. It's something different. And so it just amazed me of his knowledge of the police officers. And I told everybody, I don't care what you say of me, what you think of me, I won't stop until my son wants to become a police officer. And that's my goal.
You want your son to become a police officer?
I mean, that's if he want to become one. But I don't want him to be afraid of a police officer. I want him to look at a police officer as a hero, or someone that, a long time ago, a lot of people looked at police officers as heroes and stuff. And now it's changed. And so
they're demonized.
Exactly. And so a lot of people like I was saying earlier, you can change some people's minds that's grown and set in their ways, but a lot of people you can't. So just like they took the slaves' kids and brought them to the house and raised them up to be the best slave they could possibly be, we have to do the same for their kids. Not saying that their kids are slaves, but we have to train them that we love them just like we love our own.
That they have value.
And so that's the way we got to do it.
Right.
That's why I say you can't change these grown people's minds. They already set in their ways. It's just like a bad kid. He's gonna throw tantrum channels, even though he might get a conscious thing like, "Oh, this is wrong," but this is what's getting my attention. So I'm gonna keep doing it.
Okay. Well, that's powerful. And I just want to address to whoever's listening to this, if black, white, KKK, angry, pissed off cop who, sees these people here as animals or just, I don't know. I suggest that you have a superiority problem, all right? And so this is why this is happening. And I used to be, I think I mentioned to you before we went on the air here, that I had racist views, that I had developed as a police officer, that I had a superior attitude and things like that, because, in talking here, you had said that, it can't be changed. This is the way that the people are. But I believe still, that something can be done. And what you're telling me here, through your poems, you speaking with love, you're speaking with the heart, that, perhaps maybe there's a chance here that, you know, we don't have to wind up here, all of us, in Harry Carey.
Right.
You know, I mean, because things are about to burn down here, brother. You know, and I see that, and these guys, they know that. That's why we have the Billy Graham Foundation down here. I met with him this morning, and also talked to David Witt about it. And so you have you know, the church there, and Billy Graham, he was good. You know, he was a guy that did used to go, and he would talk to the black people back in that time, you know, the 40s and 50s, where we know that, you know, again, we're talking our lifetime here because he's still alive,
Right.
where this stuff was business as usual. I mean, everybody saw the signs that said no blacks, no blacks allowed. And so yet here it's 2014. I mean,
And we still have no blacks allowed on, can I get this, or can I get a loan, or, and that's the problem. Can we get justice? No.
wow.
There's still no blacks allowed.
Okay. Wow.
So that's
So-
the problem.
All right. Well, listen. Why don't you go ahead and give us one of your poems here? I know you have a cold, and how long you been sick for now?
About 2 or 3 days, man.
2 or 3 days.
But yeah, I can give you one, man. Thick-skinned people.
Thick-skinned people.
Yeah.
All right.
We are the people who have thick skin. Like rhinoceroses in the jungle, we have the toughest in the land. From the bottom of the mud to the richest of sands, we are the people who see no difference in the color of our skins. In fact, we know that we're the same in this melting pot we're in, where crooked cops patrol our blocks killing our kids, getting away with murder where the system pulls strings like puppet masters over their heads. Even though we are strong, enough is enough, so together we pledge. For one nation under God for which it all stands. Standing side by side, my fellow sister and brother man, we are not light-skinned, nor dark-skinned, nor black or white. Not Chinese or Japanese or Indian or Indie, so together we fight. For all equality is spread through all human rights. For we are peaceful with actions, but with words we are lethal. For we are one, thick-skinned people. But yeah,
Wow. Wow. That was
appreciate you.
all right. And what caused you to write that? What
Well,
was the impetus for that?
I met a group of people that came down here. We were on a bus stop, and I was reciting some poetry for them and stuff. And they had came from Baltimore, and none of them had knew each other before that ride. They all hitchhiked the ride together using Twitter and Facebook to get connected with each other. And so they came down here not knowing each other, and it was just so, my spirit just telling me to write it, you know. Like, this is what this movement is. This is what Mike Brown is. Everybody together and don't even know each other.
Right.
But
That's the beauty of it.
and so that's what I did.
Wow.
I told you I was taking everything I was consuming in from the streets and going back and writing about it.
Right. That's why this is so powerful for us to interview you and to talk to you, Marcellus, because